Beginning. The unexpected visitor. It started with a light in the sky. First I thought it was a satellite, then a meteor. But when the glow didn't fade and seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, I knew it wasn't natural. I live on a quiet edge of Earth, far from any major city lights, where the stars stretch across the sky like a living map. I had always felt small under them, a human lost in the immensity of space. But that night I felt something watching me. The ship came silently. Not the roaring metallic behemoths from movies or the news. It glided with a grace I couldn't describe. Its hull was smooth and reflective, almost liquid in its movements. And then it landed, leaving no crater, no scorch mark, just a faint shimmer in the air. When she stepped out, I was frozen. She was unlike anything I had ever seen. Her skin glimmered faintly under the moonlight, a soft iridescence that shifted with her movements. Her eyes were large, almond-shaped, and a color I didn't have words for, somewhere between silver and pale blue, with flecks of gold that sparkled like distant suns. She didn't speak at first. She just looked at me, and in that gaze I felt as though she could see my entire life, every memory, every fear, every secret. I didn't expect anyone here, I managed to stammer. Her lips curved into the slightest smile. I didn't come for your expectations, she said in a voice that resonated in my chest, not just my ears. I came for you. I laughed nervously, trying to convince myself she was joking. For me? Yes, she said simply. Your name is Kael, isn't it? The shock froze me further. Not only did she know my name, but she had traveled across the stars to find me. How? Why? I don't understand, I said. She tilted her head. I will explain. But first you must come with me. There is little time. And before I could protest, she extended her hand. Her touch was cool, almost electric, and yet strangely comforting. I didn't know whether to run or to trust her, but some instinct, some primal thread that humans share with other sentient beings, told me to follow. Middle across the stars. The journey was unlike anything I had imagined. Her ship didn't use traditional propulsion. There was no thrumming engine, no fuel or exhaust. It moved as if the stars themselves were guiding it, folding space gently around us. I stared out the viewports, watching galaxies spin, nebulae flare, and planets orbit in silent harmony. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly alien. She explained her journey slowly, not as a story of conquest or diplomacy, but as a quest of devotion. I am Lira, she said finally, after what felt like hours of silent flight. I am of the Velyari, a race of travelers and guardians. For centuries my people have observed humanity. I have watched your kind from afar. I swallowed. Why me? You carry something rare, Lira said softly. A perspective, a will, a spark. Something that has touched my attention more than I can fully explain. There are others like you, scattered among the stars, but your path converged with mine. I didn't know whether to be flattered or terrified. She made it sound as though I had been chosen for something monumental. As we traveled, she showed me glimpses of her home world, a planet of crystalline oceans, floating continents, and skies lit by 3 suns. She shared images not through a screen but directly in my mind. I saw her childhood, her training, her people's culture of exploration and stewardship. They were explorers, protectors, and scholars, not conquerors. And yet, something in Lyra's voice hinted that not all of her people had the same peaceful inclinations. Some of my kind seek dominion, she said. They see humans as insignificant, a species to be catalogued, or eliminated. I disagreed. I wanted to understand, to connect. And then I found you. Her words pressed against my mind in ways I couldn't ignore. I had always wondered what humans looked like from another world, but I had never imagined someone would traverse light years to find me. We arrived at a station orbiting a dead star. Lira explained it was a neutral place, a crossroads between galaxies where different civilizations interacted. The station was massive, almost overwhelming, built in layers with docking bays, observation decks, and corridors that seemed to stretch for kilometers. Here I would meet others who had influenced her decision. And meet them I did. A council of beings from dozens of species, each stranger than the last, watched us closely. Some eyes glowed. Others had shapes and forms I couldn't describe. Their language was not spoken, but conveyed in waves of thought and emotion. And yet, every being seemed to pause as Lira spoke my name. "She is human," Lira told them almost protectively. "And I have chosen him." The council murmured. I didn't understand most of the communication, but the emotion was clear. Disbelief, curiosity, even disapproval. Chosen for what? A voice, not spoken but pressed into my mind, asked. "To guide," Lira replied. "To help us understand, to help bridge the gap between her kind and mine. And perhaps, to remind us why we cannot act without thought." I swallowed. The weight of responsibility pressed down on me. A single human, plucked from obscurity and placed among beings that could destroy worlds without a second thought. The trials of trust. But Lira's journey wasn't without danger. As we traveled deeper into space, we encountered raiders, aliens who saw her mission as a threat. The first attack came unexpectedly. A vessel of jagged metal and energy cannons bore down on us, attempting to breach the ship. Lira maneuvered gracefully, the stars bending around her craft. I watched in awe as she handled weapons I could barely comprehend. But then, a smaller pod broke through the defenses and crashed near my cabin. Out of it emerged a being not unlike Lira, but darker, harder, eyes burning with malice. "You do not belong," it hissed. "You have no right to influence the Velyari's course." Froze. Lira's hands moved over the controls, not with rage, but with precision. Energy shields flared, and the invader recoiled. "Stay behind me," Lira instructed calmly. And for the first time I did. Not out of fear but out of trust. She had come all this way, crossed galaxies for me, and now she would ensure I survived. After the confrontation, we landed on a planet covered in violet forests, where the council awaited. I was tested, not in combat but in intellect, diplomacy, and empathy. Every scenario placed before me was designed to challenge not my strength, but my humanity. Could I make decisions that affected millions? Could I act morally when survival demanded otherwise? Could I be the bridge she believed me to be? I struggled, failed, learned, and gradually I began to see the pattern. Lira didn't bring me across the stars to protect me. She brought me to challenge me, to make me grow. Through days that felt like months, I worked alongside her, navigating interstellar politics, negotiating peace between feuding species, and surviving traps and threats that no human should have ever faced. And through it all, she was there, not as a protector, not as a superior, but as a companion, guide. The revelation. Then came the moment I understood why her journey was for me. It wasn't just because she had seen potential. It wasn't because my decisions might save lives across galaxies. It was because she had been alone for centuries. Her kind moved through the stars in solitude, guided by duty rather than emotion. And for all her brilliance, she had never been seen, not truly seen, by anyone who mattered. Till me. One quiet evening aboard her ship, she sat beside me, staring at a nebula swirling with violet and gold. I could have chosen anyone, she said softly. I could have picked a strategist, a diplomat, even another Velyari who understood our ways. But I chose you. I didn't know what to say. You see me, she continued. Not as a queen. Not as a Velyari. Not as a mission. Just as me. And in return I see you. The real you. That is why I crossed the stars. The weight of her words hit me. All the danger, all the politics, all the tests, it had been secondary. Her journey across galaxies had been personal, emotional. And for the first time I understood the depth of what she had done. Ending, a new beginning. Our journey continued, but nothing was the same. The council, initially skeptical of my presence, now treated me with respect. Lira and I became a team, not ruler and subject, but equals working to ensure understanding between species. Across star systems, we negotiated peace, saved colonies, and prevented wars before they could ignite. And yet our greatest victory was not political. It was personal. Lira no longer traveled alone. I was with her. And she was no longer just the brilliant, untouchable queen. I saw her laughter, her doubt, her joy. And she saw mine. One evening, as the ship glided past a newly discovered exoplanet, she reached out and took my hand. You changed my world, she said. You changed mine too, I replied. And as the stars stretched endlessly before us, I realized something profound. Some journeys are not about the distance traveled, the battles fought, or the galaxies crossed. Some journeys are about the heart. And hers had been for me.